Well, we're at our final presentation from today, and I'm very pleased to be able to introduce Dr. Long Yuan-Chih, ACTAsia's own lead fur researcher and longtime animal activist, who will bring us an update to the 2019 Fur Industry Report for 2020 and 2021. Long has an MA in Film Studies from Peking University and a PhD in Philosophy of Science and Technology from Tsinghua University. She's a member of the board of directors of the Society for Animals and Humans in Taiwan and the Culture and Animals Foundation grantee in 2019. Her recent research interests include animal studies, animals and art, and issues such as giant panda conservation, performance animals, and of course, fur. Long has initiated research and advocacy projects in East Asia and Europe. Long has published academic papers and core journals, and in 2019, she launched a new media platform, Animal Pet Talk. Most recently, she's the author of the illustrated book, The Mother of Little Foxes, which is something else I'm sure we'll all like to read. So over to you, Dr. Long.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to discuss with all of you. And my research for the long time is always focused around fur-related topics. So I would like to tell you about one of the recent projects of ACTAsia's fur-related research. Let me share my screen with all of you. Hope you can all see it. Well, my sharing will take about 15 minutes. First of all, I'd like to tell you about that the report, the earliest report was issued in 2019, and that was based upon our research and drafting throughout 2016 to 2018. It was a more academic report, but right now, this report I'm sharing with you is the updates we have between 2020 and 2021 from our field researches and evidence we've collected. More importantly, we wanted to work together to integrate the development of the Chinese fur industry and COVID-19 situations and to show you the situations of the fur industry. Our complete report will be available on ACTAsia's website. Today, I'm just showing you some of the gist of it. It's based upon our 4-year consumer research, and there are other data sources, for example, the government reports and international articles on media and the fur industry papers and reports, and we visited the Chinese fur markets and communicated with many of the fur industry participants and observed. And we also collect information from China Leather Association, IFF, International Federation of Fur, etc. And just consider those most common animals, minks, fox, and the raccoon. And here I also want to say that the trend of fur industry in the past years, many people would think that the minks is a standard fur animal, but that is not accurate because for fur-related fashion or people's like for fur actually have shifted long ago. Now, with this slide, I'm showing you that in early 2020, we had the COVID-19 outbreak. It was significantly affecting people's health. And also, it tested how vulnerable our medical system could be in those cases, and also interfered with the global economic patterns and interfered with the logistics as well. There had been a COVID-19 outbreak in minks farm, and a lot of countries have killed animals in those fur farms or even established the laws to stop fur farming. Denmark in 2020 have killed 17 million minks, and the famous Copenhagen Fur Auction House will close its business in 2023. Netherlands also brought it forward 3 years earlier than its plan of banning fur, and other countries like France and Estonia, Hungary, and Israel, etc., have either stopped the trading of fur or the production of fur. And another trend we have seen is that those international brands are going for free. FFR or more fashionable brands and the designers are all following their leads. Kering Group, Adidas, Ali magazines, they have all chosen to go for free. And in China, we have more popularity with those brands who have gone for free. And in 2021, we have asked more than 10 brands to join FFR. And now in total, on the Chinese market, we have 56 FFR brands. About WHO in China, there had been a joint research whether COVID-19 starts in COVID-19. Well, it's very likely to have one pathway of infectious disease emergence with an intermediary host. China will achieve its substantial domestic fur production level cut and cut down the size of the domestic market. Considering the closing or the potential closing of Copenhagen auction house and the Danish fur farms, there have been a wide cut in importing of minx fur and causing the Chinese market to have a shortage of fur and also caused the price fluctuation as well. But in the future, China will definitely have more substantial domestic fur production because of that and generate a domestic market. This is what can be seen for the moment right now. In 2020 May, our National Catalog of Livestock and Poultry Genetic Resources were published, and 16 wild animals were added into it, and 4 animals are actually not for meat, and these are the 4 mink, blue foxes, silver fox, and the raccoon dogs. And these are 4 animals specifically for fur farming, which means that they are now deleted from a wild animal protection law, but now considered as livestock and poultry genetic resources, which means in the future, other wild animals can follow the same trend, and this is really of our concerns. In 2016, the size of the Chinese fur industry, it was 389 billion. It was only 0.5% of the Chinese GDP, but it's a very large size already. And the banning fur, we know that it's a big challenge in China because the Danish change over there, the Chinese mink price for actually increased by 30% within 1 year, and this is unprecedented in the past decade. But looking into the future, it's not possible for China to always depend on import to meet the demand of the domestic market. And the wild animal industry size in China, according to the report, it was around 52 million yuan. And fur accounted for 75% of that. And what's worth our attention is that with the global pandemic of COVID-19, the cost that humankind are paying, it's 5.6 billion US dollars for the entire human race, and it's a huge loss. 5.6 trillion US dollars loss because of the control of COVID-19. And now that Europe, Canada, and the United States and other 6 main fur producers and compare them with China, we can see that the mink and fox fur production volume are getting lower. 2020, the raccoon dogs fur production also dropped to the lowest since 2013, but China is still the biggest producer of fur and the biggest importer as well. It showed that in 2014, the fur production reached 87 million pieces, and all these three species production volume have decreased. And in 2019, the total production, it was only 39 million pieces. By 2021, it was only 27 million pieces. However, that year it's still the highest in the entire globe. And in the next two slides, I'm going to give you more details about those data. Here you can see that in 2019, the blue bar, which represented the mink producers in China, it was 11.69 million pieces, which is even lower than foxes and raccoon dogs. Fox in that year in China, it was 14.43 million, while for raccoon dog, it was 13.59 million. And the entire fur industry had been widely affected since 2019. It dropped a lot. The total amount in 2019, it was 40 million, less than half of 2014. And it continued to drop in 2020 and 2021. So these three species, their productions have dropped in the past 3 years. And now this table, we compare China with the rest of other 6 main producer countries in the world about those minks and fox and raccoon dogs. Mink and fox and raccoon have all dropped very significantly, especially in other countries, but China still remains to be the largest producer and importer. And we have also studied the report in 2021 to understand about the data between 2018 and 2021.
So through the researches, we found that in 2019, 80% of the fur garments produced in China are sold and consumed domestically. And China is actually relying more on the domestic market, and that trend will continue. And they will take advantage of the discounts and different channels, for example, the fur fringes and pipe coats and so on. And they will be more reflected in the fur accessories and those markets. So now for the Netherlands and other main competitor markets are losing their profit in the fur farming, China will take the opportunity to get a bigger share in the fur industry in the world, and China can even single-handedly maintain the development of the fur industry in the world. So with the international cooperation and the government favorable policies, we need to pay attention to that. And China and Poland will become the main fur producers, accounting for half the world's production. In 2017 to 2019, the relevant fur industry companies are actually closing down, and the number of closed downs are more than 4,000. And in 2019 and in 2020, in fur industry, the sales and its proportion in the fashion industry is actually going down. So you can see the total profit and the total scale of the industry are both going down. And we saw that actually fur industries are establishing links with universities in mainland China as well as in Hong Kong. And a lot of new designers are attracted to use fur to do design. Those activities, like the fur suppliers, would provide the guidance or the raw material or send the award winners to Europe or the US for training, like in Copenhagen and so on. So for that, we promoted compassionate fashion and sustainable development and global fur trade as courses in Chinese as well as in English. And we also have the London Fashion College providing us with the strategic support. We hope that with the so-called greenwashing by the fur industry to make fur look like a viable choice, we want to reveal the truth. We want to reveal the truth about the fur industry and sustainable development to the designers and the colleagues in the fashion industry. Next, I would like to talk a little bit on the greenwashing. For example, fur mark. Fur mark is actually about a lot of people saw the impact of fur farming on the world and on the people's health, especially for the fur consumers. 40% of the fur consumers are in China, and they have very great purchasing power. So fur mark, actually in China and in the world, is a kind of method of greenwashing. So there's a QR code, so the consumers can just scan the QR code and they conducted marketing around that. But actually, that doesn't do anything on the animal welfare or the improvement of the environment. For ACTAsia, we actually went to the fur markets. We found that for those fur mark tags of the clothing, they are often inaccurate. For example, the material, they are wrong, or sometimes they are just manipulated. And we also found that for a lot of merchants in the fur markets, they are very defensive for the source of the fur or the species or the location of the farm. They tend to hide the information, and a lot of the domestic furs are disguised as a foreign fur. And we also found handwriting or the corrections on the labels. We believe that this phenomena is not just present in the markets that we visited, it may be very widespread. We found that for 1/4 of the interviewees, they cannot identify fur. So that also increased the difficulty of consumers when they try to make green choices. And we found that for the greenwashing represented by fur mark, it's more about a PR method by the industry, but for the issues brought by the fur, actually there's no actions done to it. In 2021, in Chongfu Fur Market, we did this investigation, and that proved our concern. We found that for the fur markets, they provide the WeChat public account or live streaming and all kinds of marketing and sales actions. They have very diverse products to serve the need of different markets in China. For example, here I showcased some photos. Since the demand in South China and North China are different, and there are different types of fur clothing, so with different weaving technology, you can see that under the fur, there's no pelt that is like knitted. So this kind of type is very welcome or popular in South China. The other type is the fox fur wool or raccoon dog fur wool. So sometimes the manufacturer use the blow dryer to blow off the softer and shorter fur, and then they make it fur wool. And that was something that we didn't know of. The other type is the fox fur wool or raccoon dog fur wool.
不好意思，我好像同时听到有另一个声音在说话。
Excuse me, I heard some other voice.
没关系，那我这边继续进行。好的，那行动亚洲2020年的这个消费者调查显示呢
So for ACTAsia Consumer Survey 2020,
影响了公众对于野
in
生
the
动物食物
survey, it
的
showed
看
that
法，并且
COVID-19
许多的
already
人
affected
开
the
始反
views
对
on
皮草
people's affected people's views on fur, and a lot of people are against fur. But for this trend, we need more truths and scientific proof to support that, so that the public in China can understand the necessity to go without fur, because we know that sometimes fur is cheaper and they are more tempting. And actually, the result of the survey is quite encouraging, because we found that 71% of the interviewees believed that zero fur will definitely become the trend of the future. And I hope that we can introduce a little bit of the findings of ACTAsia. First, fur is not the most popular for the rabbit fur or fox or mink fur. They are very widespread. And for the youth, actually, the full fur coats are welcome among the older generation. And the fur trend coats actually replaced full fur coats as the most popular item in 2020. And 84% of the fur consumers, they said that they would not buy again after learning about the production methods. And for the fur, actually, people still think that the quality of the fur is unmatched. And we found that there is a big change in the consumer's values. For the functionality and the warmth, they are actually not the first important items influencing on the consumers. 59% of fur consumers thought that the fur production caused pain, and a lot of consumers thought that the production of fur is harmful for the environment, and only 17% of both would think that the production posed a risk to human health. 25% of consumers were not able to identify fur, confusing it with leather. 70% of the participants thought that there should be a complete ban on the commercial wildlife trade.
I think we're going to have to Dr. Lung.
Actually, we hope that we can use FFRs and other projects to help people understand the trend of zero fur. For ACTAsia, our partner also discovered that for the pandemic, it has a big impact on the fur industry in the world. The production of fur in China as well as the world is going down by a lot, especially COVID-19 was found in the mink farms, and mink can very likely be the host of COVID-19. That caused the downward trend of the production of mink fur. And the international community also wanted to eliminate the host of COVID-19 to guarantee the safety of animal and human beings. So in China and North America, a lot of people try to call for a complete ban on the furs. Up till now, from this chart, we can see that more than 17 European countries passed the ban on fur farming, and 2 countries are gradually phasing the fur out, and 6 countries are entering the parliament debate, and 3 countries have already passed some legislation. With our study, we found that the fur market in China is promoting the fur trade in the world, and it's a potential risk to human beings as well as animals. But the good thing is, with the pandemic, the Chinese people are getting a more better understanding on the fur, and more people will accept zero fur as the fashion trend, and more brands are joining FFR program. ACTAsia is using online bilingual courses and prospective reviews on the trend of fur. So that is our sharing on the fur industry under the COVID-19 in China. So I will give the time back to the host. Thank you.
Thank you.